Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I'm going to be reviewing Ironheart, the newest Blast lead slash support, who also has some additional value as a potential DPS for your roster, which I wanted to showcase before we get into the nitty gritty on her support value, because the support value is pretty easy to calculate. I mean, not calculate, but it's very easy to see, right? Support character makes your other characters do more damage, so they always have value on your roster. But I wanted to go a little bit further in my analysis than just that. So we're covering her potential to deal damage here with a 160 proc obelisk, and this team up here with White Fox and War Machine to support. We're using her own leadership here. A lot of people actually don't know that Ironheart has the leadership tag, so you can actually take advantage of White Fox, although you probably wouldn't want to. You probably would want to use White Fox with some other character, but that also means that you can use Ironheart as a support for any character that has the leadership tag. So if you need to buff up the Eternals or any other character like that, you can do so. So she can actually clear stage 39, which is not bad at all in my opinion. We're doing a 3 delayed cancel, 5 cancel, 4 proc. She's got a really nice V-pad on 4, and so you just delay. There we missed our first proc, but otherwise I think the procs are pretty consistent. You can try to proc on 5 instead and then do 4 afterward. That is also a possibility, but I found this one to be the most consistent, although now that I say that it's consistent, I missed 2 procs back to back. And then you just use the 6th skill whenever it's available, and you just instant cancel that, and you get all the hits right away because Devil Dinosaur comes out and he spews a bunch of fire, which is quite cool. As you can see, her movement speed is quite nice, so you can also use her when you're switching between characters. But yeah, pretty nice proc here. Nice little 4 bars. 39 is not a very high stage of Mephisto, I'll be honest with you there. Of course, with tier 4s and things like that, these stages become piddlingly easy, even with low pierce. But not everyone is there yet, and not everyone wants to push to high stages anyways. So I did want to showcase her ability to do this stage. I also wanted to showcase how fun she is to play, because a lot of people, that's really what they care about. And so the V-pad skill, the tankiness, all that sort of stuff, the animations, they're actually quite nice. And so she's solid. This is just a 160 proc obelisk. You could go higher with a CTP of energy or something like that. But I would say that she is, you know, definitely competitive-ish in the realm of characters who this was their highest stage, right? Not, okay, we procced there, unfortunately, on 3 right at the beginning, so we're not going to get the 4+ bars of damage. I think she can do this. We might have to run it again just to get the procs to line up a little bit nicer in phase 2. But yeah, I just wanted to cover this performance in PvE before we go ahead and check her out as a support and sort of talk about what makes her tick there. So yeah, stage 39 with double support is not bad considering it's a 160 proc. She could probably go a little bit higher with a CTP of energy, but that's just for the die-hard Riri Williams fans, the die-hard fans of Ironheart. I think for most players, you're looking at Ironheart and you're thinking, okay, Alex, if I'm going to get her, what is her support? What is her value as a support to help my team? So the way that I would compare her, she's basically a more flexible version of Sif. That's the best explanation I can give you, and that's the best comparison I can give you is Sif, because they actually have very similar supports and they have very similar leaderships in the sense that they buff their respective types. So Sif gives 45% increased damage to boss types and then 10% all speed, which is pretty good. I mean, the 45 is very good. The 10% all speed is okay. Riri, on the other hand, doesn't give quite as much increased damage to boss types. She gives 35%. So I was wrong. I said she gave the same amount as Sif. She actually gives 10% less, but she makes up for that by giving 25% ignore dodge. I value that more than the all speed, so I do think that they're quite similar. I would still give the edge to Sif because 45 is a lot bigger than 35, but I think it is pretty close. On the leadership side, we know that Sif gives all combat types 30% HP, I believe, and 30% physical attack. No, 35% physical attack and 30% HP to combat types. So similarly, Ironheart only gives blast types 55% energy attack. So all offense, no defense. A little bit less synergy with, you know, HP types like Hulk, but more of an attack increase. So again, very, very similar. And of course, their supports apply to all allies. So I wanted to go a little bit further with the investigation of how good Riri Williams is as a support, because again, the comparison to Sif is so close that it's like, okay, Sif, Riri, Sif, Riri. I know that Sif is free to play friendly, whereas Riri is not, considering she's a premium character. I do know that, but where are you primarily going to be using these supports? Not really, like maybe in Dispatch, you know, especially because Sif synergizes with Thor, so maybe use her as a support there. Sure, maybe some other content, but generally speaking, it's going to be World Boss, right? And generally speaking, the more difficult content, the better it is for supports, so we're moving to World Boss Legend. So then I wanted to look and see how many stages beyond stage 9, because of course, every character is available from stage 1 to 9, how many stages are you going to get value on Shuri versus, or sorry, not Shuri, on Riri Williams on Ironheart versus Sif. So Sif versus Ironheart, this is really the comparison that I wanted to look at for the different bosses. So for Ironheart, you can use her on 20 different stages of Null, and again, that doesn't include stage 1 to 9, and especially on lower stages, you can use Ironheart a lot. So 20 different stages of Null, you have 24 stages of Mephisto, and then you have 16 stages apiece for both Ultron and Gore. So you can actually use Ironheart a lot. And I just want to highlight when I put up the full list here that most of her, like all 4 of the World Boss Legends, you can use Ironheart very early on, right? 10 to 14, 15 to 19, 20 to 24, 25 to 29. If I was telling you could use Ironheart on 20 stages of Null, but it's 70 to 99, that's not really helpful, right? Especially if you're still building your account. So being able to use Ironheart early as a leadership / support just increases her value. And okay, so we move over to Sif. What can Sif do? For Sif, she's only available for 12 stages of Null, 12 stages of Mephisto, 20 stages of Ultron, and then only 8 stages of Gore. That's right, only 8. And this primarily has to do with the fact that these 4 World Boss Legends, a lot of the restrictions are human. And so the human restrictions really just shut out aliens from being used. Now, that doesn't mean that Sif is not still good for these bosses. No, but it does mean that you have less opportunity to use Sif, and Sif actually appears in a lot more higher stages. So for Ultron, let's say I said 16 stages, but as you can see, 2 of those, or 8 of those 16s, half are very, very high stages of Ultron, 85 to 89 and 95 to 99. That's not going to matter for most players right now, even if they're whales, because they're not there yet. I'm only on stage, what, 70 or 60 of Ultron, right? I'm not even there myself, right? So there is where I think the comparison takes on a little bit more interest. Sif does have the advantage of being better for things like ABX, right? Because you have that combat female hero that's often referenced as one of the harder stages to build for. And now you have lots of females that can do that. But on the flip side, Ironheart doesn't have any ABX stages or ABL stages, right? Female blast hero has never been that valuable for ABX or ABL until they tacked on the mutant tag. And that's, of course, for Storm, etc., etc., etc. But that's why we've never talked about Sharon Rogers' ABX value and other characters like that, you know, Emma, Psylocke, etc., because they just don't apply. It just doesn't apply to them. So yeah, that's where I think the value really lies for Ironheart. And so if you think that Sif, if you got Sif before, or if you're thinking of getting Sif, I would say Ironheart is right there, slightly better. I would say Ironheart is slightly better just because you can use her for so many more stages of the same content that you can use Sif for. And presumably she's going to be as good, if not better, when you're putting her in things like Dimension Rift farming or Dispatch farming, because let's not underestimate the 25% ignore dodge. It is very, very good. To give you guys another example, another comparison here without showing you guys gameplay clips because it just takes too long to get in and out of the stages, I tested Ironheart on, I actually tested Doctor Strange on stage 34 of Null. Not the highest stage in the world, I know, but I tested Doctor Strange here with these team-ups using either Riri's lead and no support, or using Ebony Maw, or using Ancient One. Ebony Maw and Riri were a little bit faster. Again, it's not a huge amount of time, but they were about 5 seconds faster, 5-6 seconds faster than Ancient One, but they were very close. So that's another thing to consider, that Riri is giving about as much, possibly more support than someone like Ebony, and the value there is extended, right? Even though they have similar leads, it's extended because Riri's passive is just boss damage. It's not specifically universal. So Riri is gonna give the same buffs when you're fighting against Mephisto or any other boss that isn't universal, whereas Ebony. I know he has PvP value for sure, but just specifically talking about PvE value, his is not going to apply to Mephisto, and his is not going to apply to any future World Boss Legends who are Combat, Blast, or Speed. So yeah, with all that being said, I do think that Riri is a good support. Not a very spicy or exciting character to build. I know a lot of people probably weren't waiting with bated breath for this review, but I wanted to do the review justice because not only do I think she's an excellent support, like I'd say she's a top 5 support in the game, but she can be surprisingly good, especially if you're looking for something off meta that's just fun to play because she has that V-pad skill. She can do 39 of Mephisto with a pretty pedestrian build. Like I just have some 6-star Uru here, and again, it's a 160 proc with basically nothing else on it. Basically based on the fact that she has decent damage herself. She's decently proc friendly. I wouldn't say like a 10 out of 10 for proc friendliness, but decent. And she has access to a lot of buffs. So you can definitely rock triple buffs with her. You can rock War Machine. You can rock Hulkbuster even, right? So you do have a lot of options there when you're building those teams out. And then you can even use her as a lead for Iron Man potentially, right? And you can double dip and have War Machine or Hulkbuster, and they can be buffing both since she's also Machine. So a nice little combination of things. I didn't investigate things like the Machine stages for Dispatch. I know there are one or two stages of Dispatch that require Machine types. I think we have enough good Machine types now that I didn't want to make it a feature of the video to really showcase that. But it is also something to consider if you haven't already done that. I mean, obviously there's Iron Man, right? Easy one. But if you don't have him built up just yet, you have those options available to you, and one of the better transcended machines besides, let's say, Doc Ock, right? So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of Riri Williams Ironheart. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.